So Andrew Yang made his policy approach to address climate change, and it's scary. And the reason why it's scary is kind of sad. Basically, I think he's correct about we need to start geoengineering the earth. I think his approach is something that is the best route to go about getting this done. And the way he's marketing it and pitching it with the new jobs and all of that, I think is the correct way of going about it. A lot of entrepreneurship, all that jazz, which is, he's all about jobs, entrepreneurship, etc. So that's all good, and I see, everybody being happy about that. What's scary is, like he admits, the United States, we pretend like we are 100% of the problem with the climate, and specifically the climate change problem. And we are not 100% the problem. We are only 15% of the factor. And with it being a global issue, it means that we need to have a global involvement, global encouragement to help places that are developing their technology with dirty solutions, because it's cheaper, and that's a cost. And the reason why that's scary is I see this natural political divide that we're already in. And there's going to be this focus on the short-term costs of millions or billions, excluding and not considering the long-term costs in the trillions. And it's just very sad that essentially that the scary part is it's expecting that people will care about more than themselves. I think a lot of us, once we start to think about it, care about the future because of our kids, our grandkids, great grandkids, whatever, and we want a better world for them than what we have, and we still want the same opportunities and all that kind of stuff. And the planet thing is so sci-fi like. I mean, the whole idea of like the planet, dying, and just the world not being like the same in just a little over a decade from where what I grew up with. Like, it's just a weird thing to think about, and it doesn't feel very real. And we need to throw on top of that people right now are just stressed economically. And what I really like about Andrew Yang is he is thinking about this is connected to this, which is connected to this, and he's got all these genius creative ideas of how they're all linked. Climate change, I'm worried about paying my bills, this month, right? I'm worried about putting food on the table this week. I can't worry about something that, is going to happen 12 years from now. Like, somebody else will fix it. And I think we have this mentality that somebody else is going to fix it, or the problem's just going to resolve itself, and what's upsetting is that there is a economic incentive for some companies to push in the minds of people that there's this idea that none of this is true, none of this is real. Oh, we always find a way in the past to take care of things. We'll figure it out again. And that just doesn't make any real sense, that we've done it before, therefore we'll figure it out again. And, humans are very, when push comes to shove, we'll figure it out and all this stuff. And I think there's just this over expectation on last minute saves. And, even for me, like where I'm going to be in 12 years is so different. And I already know, just technology wise, 12 years is very, very different, right? The whole economy is going to be very different. And so I'm thinking about some of those things, but there's also a planet involved. And anyways, what also makes it so scary is, it's just so sad to say that essentially, when people hear that there's going to be costs going outside the United States or investments outside the United States, people are going to be more concerned about themselves and not necessarily, and not able to make that connection that by helping others you're also helping yourself, that by helping others around the world you're also helping your family in where you are in the world. And it's I think that's the hard part of his message that needs to get across. I think he's doing a pretty good job, but the hard part of his message is just this, we've got so much focus on this cash and capital, and we're so strapped for money that we really can't see the forest. We're staying too close to a tree to see the entire forest, to see the big picture of what's going on. And we're all focused on what political party you're in, and or what politics you align with, and what's the latest thing on Twitter that we can get upset about in whatever political party. These whole political parties, all this stuff, it's all these shiny objects, distractions. It's just, there's other things going on. And of all the things that, and I think Andrew's right, because of all the topics that he's talking about, climate change is not the thing that I'm most concerned with, although I also am concerned with it. But very much I am worried about a lot of the economic stresses that are going on, and a lot of that, how that's going to affect us, and how that's going to affect my family, and trying to set them up with a future, and in regards to what's the best way to educate, to prepare for the future, what direction should we go with work. All of those kinds of things are more immediate, and the return on that focus is that's a very fast, very high ROI. But then when there's these bigger topics, it is true. Like, if you have that sort of economic boot on your throat, you're not even really concerned with some of these other things. In some cases, people are more willing to deny it. People are more willing to not want to believe it to be true, or not put too much sway in it. Experts, what do experts know? What do these people know about whatever? Well, who's going to pay for this? How's this going to get paid for? All these kinds of things. And instead of being more about, like, all right, this needs to get done, how can we pay for it? How can we go about this process? How can we, provide this better future? It's always comes down to that solution. I don't like that solution. That involves money. No. But my solution also involves money, but it's my solution. So we'll go with that one. So I don't know. It's just something that there's a link to the speech down below. But, he was going through his speech and running through his plan, and I'm like, okay, all right, cool. I like this idea. He's addressing things, the idea of like geoengineering the earth, something like that. Sounds like something out of sci-fi. That's something that we can actually do, and is a cool idea. And it annoys me that nobody's really talking about that idea. Like, why wouldn't you do all these things in conjunction and have more of a newer approach to solving these issues instead of the same thing, the same approach that it seems like everybody has. But I think the big difference with Andrew Yang and his policies, and the climate piece here did a good job explaining it, is that a lot of these things are linked, and we are focused so much on these distracting things that we can't even focus on, bigger picture things. And once again, he's got plans and he's got proposals that I think will alleviate a lot of that, so that people can work as a team, work as a unit, work as a country together, right? Unify us so we all have a common enemy, right? Which would be dirty technology, bad economic incentives. And that's the thing, is that the one thing that's very clear, and it's also kind of sad, but because of the way our country is focused, and the way it's portrayed that we are focused, is that you have to follow the money, and if the economic incentives are not aligned with what's best for people, human beings, then it doesn't matter. So the only way to get what's best for human beings moving forward, something as simple as our health, the only way to get that in line is to make the economic incentives in line, which is just a very, very strange thing. And he is aligning those so that new businesses or current businesses are going to basically do those, make modifications so that those incentives for the business align with the incentives that we as people in the United States would want to see reflective and grow in our country. It's just kind of sad that the only interest in that is basically because there's an economic involvement in it. And I get that's how the free market works, but especially right now, we see some situations where people are becoming more concerned about what companies think about topics. And sometimes companies are getting involved and pulling their ads off of TV shows that promote a message that they don't agree with. Or there's a hashtag to boycott whatever. And you can argue about the effectiveness of those trends, but it's good when a company does it for more than just simple PR reasons, because it's something that the company stands for. It's in their mission statement, or it's a part of the branding, as opposed to just doing it for good PR, just doing it because there's economic ties involved, if they follow along with the game. So anyways, this kind of whole little rant is just, his plan itself is not scary. It's just a little sad and scary that it all comes down to people becoming interested in hearing other points of view, and interested in solving the same problem, and coming up with different proposals, and actually trying to not deny something as much as it is how best to attack it. And I feel that in some cases there is going to be plenty of people that, like Andrew Yang says, if they're still economically stressed and worried and they have these eminent immediate fears going on, it is not likely that they are going to be super excited about the prospects of focusing on others and the rest of the world. That's just kind of my thought, and it's just something that I was thinking as he was going through the plan, that this is great. There's good acknowledgement here of what needs to be done. You're pitching it the right way. We can make this. We can make this work. It's just kind of sad that what I thought in my head was, why is this such a scary scenario, that this is such a hard thing? Like, why is this going to be such an uphill battle? And it's not the actual process as far as what needs to be done. The new infrastructure that needs to be created, the new standards that are set. That's not the scary part. The scary part is the agreement that this is the route we should take. That the agreement that, yes, this is a serious problem, and I care enough about it to be on board with this idea. The court of public opinion, right? And we want to say something like, oh, but most of America agrees with this or that. But then we also hear all the time, most of America doesn't agree with this or that. So I don't know what most of America agrees or doesn't agree with, and it's just something worth thinking about. Anyways, that's just kind of my little ramble. The original video for his speech is going to be linked down below. Check it out. That's it. Those are my thoughts. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.